Alright, hey, what's going on there, folks? Earthmaster here, checking in once again on this Tuesday, February 18th, 2020, 7:30 p.m. straight up West Coast time out here, and taking a look at the USGS map of today's earthquakes, all magnitudes, and quite the increase in activity in Southern California today, all the way down from, just on the western part of the Pacific Plate, or the plate boundary between the Pacific Plate and the North American Plate. That would be the San Andreas Fault System. A lot of activity occurring on the western part, down south, but up to the north and the east of the San Andreas Fault System, we're seeing a lot of activity occur on the North American side of that plate boundary. More specifically, right around the Ridgecrest area and northward, in between. Well, I guess we could call it north of Ridgecrest, right around the what's it called? Lone Pine area. That's right around the Owens Fault System. Now, that Owens Fault System is very capable of producing a large earthquake, like I mentioned in the previous update video today. Just give a little heads up. 1872, the Owens Valley earthquake, also known as the Lone Pine earthquake, struck on March 26, 2:30 in the morning in the Owens Valley, east side of the Sierra Nevada, with the epicenter near the town of Lone Pine. It was estimated between a 7.4 to 7.9 magnitude earthquake. So this activity that we're seeing today is right around the epicenter of that 7.9 earthquake back in 1872, the Owens Valley, the Owens Valley earthquake, excuse me. And we're going to zoom in just a little bit here and give you guys a little bit better view of the area and the region. You can see Ridgecrest down here where all those earthquakes are popping up. Of course, that's something we've been seeing since the July 4th, July 5th earthquake sequence there in Southern California. And they've had probably, and I keep saying over 100,000 earthquakes since then. I'm not even joking. This is just one day. And I'm still trying to figure out a tally to get a number on that, but we'll work on that another day. Point of interest right now is this activity occurring to the north and to the west of the Ridgecrest area. Of course, aftershock activity is going to continue there in Ridgecrest. That's expected. But this newer movement up here in an unnamed area, really no fault system up here. See that little cluster of quakes right there about center screen? That's where quite a few earthquakes hit there today. Nothing major. It was a, let's see here, what was there, a 3.5 I believe is the biggest one in that specific section. Let's see. But they've had a lot, let me tell you. Let me see here. I think it was a it had to have been a 3.4 or a 3.3, I believe. For some reason, I'm not seeing it. I'm not for sure why. But anyway, that activity is kind of new, and I did an update video on it this morning because it is getting a little bit closer to the Owens Valley fault system. And now that's that fault system I talked about where they seen that 1872 earthquake. If you go up here towards Lone Pine, travel up here with me a little bit, up the highway 395 out there in the desert. You can see an orange circle right there, right smack dab on the Owens Valley fault system. Now, not saying anything's going to happen out here, but we've been seeing a northward migration of quakes today since this morning, actually. And this earthquake here being a 3.3, right smack dab on the Owens Valley fault zone, the 1872 rupture section, kind of has me a little bit worried because we've just been seeing an increase overall today in the Southern California region, and with this northward activity, it's a little on the worrisome side, I should say. What's funny is in between, well, not funny, but what's really beautiful in between these earthquakes near Lone Pine and the earthquake activity in the unknown section there northwest of Ridgecrest is the beautiful Mount Whitney. I've never seen it. It's something I kind of want to go check out here eventually. It's It's the tallest mountain in the contiguous United States in the Sierra Nevada. Elevation of that beautiful mountain is 14,505 feet. So a lot of plate tectonics involved out there, creating that beautiful structure of mountains out there. I mean, it's just absolutely beautiful. But I do want to show you guys a little graph here of that's kind of odd how it's doing that, but that's okay. A little graph of the overview, and you'll have to work with me here a little bit on this because my arrow is still not, or my pointer is still not working on this screen here that you guys are looking at. I'm not for sure why. Anyway, Ridgecrest down here, okay, circled in the blue dots there is a Ridgecrest Coso volcanic field area. Right around that section, well, it is that section where we've seen the large earthquakes July 4th and July 5th of last year. And that's where we're seeing the continued aftershock activity. And it's pretty much stayed in that specific area. Actually, I think a couple months ago, we've seen a kind of like a migration towards the Garlock fault system, which is capable of producing a large earthquake as well, as that extends over towards the San Andreas fault section. But that has kind of backed off a little bit in recent earthquakes. The white circles on the screen now are showing a lot older earthquakes from years past. In fact, let's see here. I believe this is, I'm not sure what's going on here. Let me get this going though. 2006 to 2016, 3.0 and greater, it looks like earthquakes. So that's just kind of like an older map, but it still gives you the overview of the Owens Valley fault system. You can see the north to the south movement on the east, and then the March 1872 earthquake, 7.5 to 7.7, right there in that rupture zone. And if you notice, there hasn't really been a lot of earthquake activity in this specific fault section of the Owens Valley. I mean, this is only, like I said, 2006 to 2016, 3.0 and greater. So in that red line right there, the Owens Valley fault section right there, if you look at history, there really hasn't, I mean, that's not extended history, but it's kind of recent history there, with about 10 years of data. There really hasn't been a lot of earthquake activity in this specific fault section here. Although this area is definitely capable of producing the big quakes out there. And that's what we're looking at right now, folks, with the with this 3.3. Now, that's not a big quake. It is definitely not. Now, if this just happened to just pop up today without any other earthquakes in the region, I'd be like, okay, it's just, you know, your normal Southern California earthquake activity. But there's a lot going on and play out there right now. Hold on. And it's just a little worrisome, folks. I said it in my last video, and we're just going to have to keep an eye and see if this continues to pick up in numbers out here. Like I say, all this activity down south near the Ridgecrest area is perfectly normal for aftershock activity, but the migration that we're seeing up here to the north is the big major concern at the moment, folks, along with the earthquake activity down south here. This tells me that there's definitely a tremendous amount of pressure out there on the southern part of the state. Now, there's no big quakes out here, but there's definitely been a lot of activity, pretty much under 2.0. All these orange circles out here. So hopefully you guys can see those. Kind of zoom in a little bit on a bunch of different sporadic fault systems out here. Just not on any specific fault in Southern California, just pretty much everywhere. If you look at, there's a little cluster right there. Even further down south here near the Brawley fault structure down there, seeing a little bit of micro earthquake activity, but it's pretty much all over on this part of the Pacific Plate. which is the western part of the San Andreas fault system here. Northern California, not seeing a whole lot. Been relatively quiet. Now, Mammoth Lakes region, I guess we should stop there before we head north. Definitely seeing some, I wouldn't say sizable, but these are kind of microquakes as well near the Long Valley volcanic field out here. Or super volcano, I should say, Long Valley super volcano. You can see a couple of those red or orange circles there, indicating some light earthquake activity. Looks like maybe the biggest one being a 1.5. But still, nonetheless, earthquake activity, right? Swinging up to the north part of the state. I always tend to jump over this activity in the Konocti region, or what is that place up here? It's an area where I've driven through quite a few times near Cobb. It's all geothermal activity up there. There's some places where people pay big money to sit in, you know, like the hot springs and whatnot. I don't know exactly what goes on up there, but it's an area where there's always geothermal activity, and that's kind of why I skip over it. Unless I'm starting to see some activity in the 4 to 5 range in that region, then I'll kind of look into more detail on that area. But other than that, pretty quiet. Even quiet up here along the triple junction of the Juan de Fuca North American and Pacific Plate area. No activity at all over the last day. So that's something we're kind of watching too. Pretty quiet, but down here in the south, folks, like I mentioned, it's a hot spot of activity right now, and that's kind of what we're watching right now. That's going to be the focus point right now. Globally, we can check out global activity. Looks like a 2.8 out there in the Mediterranean. They've been seeing quite a bit of earthquake activity out there, which is not abnormal. Looks like the 4.8 being the largest one, and some smaller quakes out there as well. Still, we haven't seen any major release of pressure out here worldwide, and that's something I mentioned in my update video. It's like it's too quiet out here right now. It's just way too quiet. We're seeing earthquake activity, but we're not seeing the usual 5s and whatnot out here. There's a lot of 3s, a lot of 4s, but not a whole lot of moderate earthquake activity. And like I say, that can be a sign of something coming, a buildup of pressure somewhere, and it's just getting ready to pop. I think the longest it goes without any type of moderate earthquake activity out here, the larger earthquake we're going to see. Where is the question? Most of the time we're always seeing earthquake activity out here in Fiji Islands or along the western part of the Pacific Ring of Fire. And right now I don't see anything. Yeah, they did have a 4.7 near Fiji, kind of a deep one, but this is even well below normal for their location here. Just awfully quiet out here near Japan. And these are older earthquake activity that did pop up there past the 24-hour window. I think even further than that. But pretty quiet, folks, in the Pacific, except for California region right now. And that's, like I said, the hot spot, and that's the area that we are watching for potentially bigger movement, especially now that the earthquake activity has reached the Owens Valley fault system up there. So just best be on guard, folks, no matter where you're at, and just always have an earthquake plan. Maybe keep a bag of emergency supplies and whatnot, and yeah, we do have live data stations coming up, folks. Right now, Yellowstone also having a little bit of earthquake activity. Actually, kind of on the borderline of swarming activity here. This is in Madison, right? Madison, that's the name of the station in Yellowstone National Park. Kind of on the northwest corner of the park itself, right where the swarming of earthquake activity is taking place there. All microquakes, probably under 1.5 or so. but nonetheless, looks as though it's picking up a little bit in steam. If it does happen to get worse or intensify, I will definitely do an update video on that. But for now, just a little swarming going on in Yellowstone. And of course, Southern California down here, China Lake, that's the station to watch near the Ridgecrest area for earthquake activity. And anyway, folks, we're going to cut this a little short and jump off here. Live stream is up and running, so please jump on over and say hi if you want to. As always, we're running 24/7 live data and earthquake information out here on the channel. So we'll chat you guys a little bit later. I think I'm going to call it early night, right? Before 8 o'clock. Oh my gosh, that's crazy. Anyway, have a good night, everyone. Please stay safe out there. Southern California rocking a little bit. Hopefully things will calm down. But we will see what happens. Take care.